All right, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. We're going to wait for the verdict to happen, and I think they're getting ready to bring the jurors out right now. My prediction is he'll be found guilty. The fact that they belabored the time makes me think they're considering manslaughter. Let's get him on the camera.
It did not sound like it was for purposes of a confrontation with a person that he didn't know he was going to be into a confrontation with on that day. So I think certainly you want to try to answer every question you can,
Right.
but every answer comes with risk as well. If Karmelo had testified, he certainly could have been cross-examined, and it might have been an opportunity for the state to go back through in a different way the events as they unfolded from his seat. So I think they weighed that out and decided against it.
Lori Brown is telling us now that Judge Roach is on the bench and said that we are now on the record to bring in the jury, warning those in the courtroom any outburst, a person will be held in contempt. Defense Attorney Mike Howard standing with his arms on Karmelo Anthony, and they are standing now waiting for the jury to enter the jury box with the verdict.
This is clutch time, man.
So at any moment, we will hear what that verdict is. Again, if you are just joining us right now, the jury started deliberating at 10:52 this morning. They reached a decision a little before 2. And so we were waiting for that verdict to be announced at 2:05. It is 2:32 right now. Sometimes, these things take a while in terms of getting everybody into the courtroom, explaining the rules. Our Lori Brown telling us that any outburst, a person will be held in contempt. So just kind of, letting them know what the rules are, just so that, they have rules in place and they want people to follow, those rules.
It says here, Lori is telling us, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder. That is the verdict from the jurors, according to Lori Brown, who is in the courtroom.
Guilty of murder.
Okay, we're hearing that first. Guilty of
Right.
murder. We are finding that out.
And I think Russell Wilson, with the brevity of
Right.
this deliberation, I don't think that's a surprise to many people.
Well, right. So, what we know is that, they've rejected the self-defense claim. They believed that the use of deadly force in response to the shove was excessive. And
So you guys can just mute them and you can play it in the background. But just so you guys, if you're just now joining, he was found guilty of murder, which is not surprising to me. It's to be honest, it's sad that this young man decided to make that decision on that day to take the life of another person. And now he has essentially ruined his life. But I think this is going to be one of those George Floyd situations, I'm telling you. People are going to be upset that he was found guilty. When anybody that's been following the case, that understand law, that understand any of these components, know already that he would be guilty. I didn't have a question in my mind if he was going to be guilty or not, based on the totality of circumstances, based on the admissions from himself, based on the defense, based on the prosecution, and now after the trial has happened, which was a trial that didn't take very long, after the witnesses took the stand, and you had witnesses from the defense team, they were saying that Karmelo Anthony was guilty. Karmelo Anthony was the aggressor. When you go, and I hope that this is a message for every person that's thinking about doing stuff like this. You cannot claim self-defense after you initiated a conflict. Young people, humble yourself and don't walk around with such a grudge on your shoulder that you are in the wrong and you cannot listen to feedback from your peers. You shouldn't have been in a tent. You shouldn't have had a knife at the school. And you shouldn't be threatening to stab people because you don't want to cooperate with common practice. You just going to walk around and say, I can do whatever I want to do. And if you got a problem with it, I'll stab you over it. That is not good behavior. Roll the news and see what else they're saying now.
a whole lot of anxiety. You know, the range of punishments, 5 to 99 years. When you hear a guilty verdict of murder, you're certainly going to see your life flash before you, because you recognize you could face imprisonment for the rest of your life. The attorney, if you get everybody calmed down, you need to start thinking of your most mitigating factors. Probably here will be age, um, of the offender, and no criminal history.
And let me
And
ask you,
so,
while I
go ahead.
have you, Russell, let's talk about the converse side of that. Let's talk about at the prosecution table. I have covered trials where you were the prosecutor and you
Right.
secured the
Let's check
win
on
in the
other news
courtroom. You
outlets.
got the
Right.
conviction. What happens to the family of your victim in this moment? What do you say to them as the prosecutor?
You know, we're actually, there's a sense of relief for them regarding the verdict being the verdict that they wanted it to be. But you're still preparing as well as the prosecutor. So you'd say, brief words of comfort. The family usually experiences some degree, like I said, of relief. And then I'm probably talking to them about who our first witnesses are. Maybe I'm wanting to go get, maybe I'm bringing a mom, and I want baby photos. I want the graduation that was missed. I want the life to be expanded and explained, and for people to understand just what the loss was.
Maybe his
So
twin
I'm
brother
lining up
now, huh?
people.
Maybe
Yeah,
the twin
yeah.
brother.
I'm lining up people to um, to emphasize the impact of the death, and
Let me
both
jump
of
in
these
here
young men.
real quick. And so let me just explain this real quick. There is the sentencing phase that's going to happen. And I honestly believe that they're going to have sympathy on him in the sentencing phase. Here's why. Because he's a young guy, no criminal record, I think that the jury is going to have sympathy. What do I think he should get? I think he should get at least 20 years in prison, at minimum. Should a young man without the frontal lobe developed in his brain get the rest of his life in prison? I don't know. It's up to the jurors, to be quite honest. But maybe 20 years or more. Nothing less than 20 years. Or this is a miscarriage of justice. Even though this guy is young and he made this mistake, which cost the life of another person, he should be found guilty. He should do a significant amount of time in prison. The question is, how much time should he do in prison? Now, the family, if it was my kid, maybe they're not as forgiving. Maybe they don't see him as a young man who made a tremendous mistake that he may regret that he did, and they may want him to do life in prison. Now, to be honest, if they gave him life in prison, I don't necessarily argue against that. I think that he should do at least 20 plus years in prison. If they gave him life, I can't get mad, man. You killed somebody. And you had no business having a knife at the school. You had no business stabbing somebody over a disagreement. And I'm gonna tell y'all this, and nobody's gonna say it because they're too cowardice to say it, or they're not black and they feel like they can't say it. It's the culture that young black men are raised in that create these situations and scenarios where they're overly violent. When you are in a situation where you have been taught white man bad, the white man is your enemy, then you react to white people differently. And this is the same thing that happened to me when I was growing up. And it wasn't from my family, it was culture taught me that. And I grew up in Fort Worth. The white man is this, the white man is that. Man, don't let them white men punk you. Man, don't white people think they better than you. These white people, white people, white people. So therefore, when you interact with white people, you have a level of animus towards all white people that's unnecessarily unjustified. And this is why you see a kid where you think, why would he be so upset about the tent thing? It's because he feel like I'll sit under these white boys' tent. This is just my opinion. I'll sit under these white boys' tent and they ain't gonna do nothing about it. Forget these white people. I have a problem with these white people. Touch me and see what happened. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing to me. Us, them versus me. Them versus us. Then you got a knife because if they get stupid, you're gonna do something. And he did, and now he spent the rest of his life in prison. Let's check and see if there's other news outlets that are commenting on these things, because I'm sure there's a variety of reactions that are happening. Roll the clip.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a producer out there right now who is getting some of that reaction, and another camera crew who's talking to people. It's not over. I mean, obviously, as we mentioned, this goes into sentencing now, so and that's going to determine a lot. I think there was some expectation of a guilty verdict, whether it was going to be manslaughter or murder. So a lot of people know this isn't over. But just taking a look, it's dissipated a little bit from what we saw earlier. I think everybody was up there as it was, it's moved a little bit. I'm going to see if we can point the camera that way. It's all moving to the side of the courthouse. Now, throughout all of this, I think I've mentioned the courthouse has been blocked off from anybody recording.
I'm noticing
we haven't been
that
allowed even on the steps right there, and a lot of people in the crowd are recording, and so they
I'm noticing that
are restricted from.
things are not becoming violent at this courthouse. So that's one thing that I'm noticing here that I'm excited to see. I felt like it's going to get crazy. People are going to be upset about it because of the nature of it. They've made it about race, and it had nothing to do with race, at least on the side of justice. But I am shocked that nobody's getting crazy. I hope that nobody get crazy. People need to be honest with themselves. And in a situation like this, I think the racial tension in America becomes heightened. And the reason I say that is because a bunch of these people made it about race. A bunch of these people made it about a black and white thing. And then when they don't get the results that they want, this reinforces the fact that, oh, it was because he was black. It was an all-white jury. This and that. And in my opinion, I think that's not necessarily reasonable to go down that path to think that. But let's see if we can find some more news outlets. Is Fox News covering this? Yeah. Let's bring these other news outlets on the screen. Because right now we just have this one.
That it will be handed to the same jury that found him guilty of murder. That will be the same jury that hears any arguments, that hears from any additional witnesses, and makes the determination on what exactly his sentence will be. I see this group of people. I'm not quite sure what's driving them back and forth, but they're going back and forth in front of the courthouse and keeping an eye on them. So I don't know if you can see from the chopper, but there is some movement back and forth. And, you know, I did say earlier that it hadn't so much grown as consolidated, but we are seeing what looks like more people showing up and headed to the front. Some of them are showing up with chairs, which indicates to me that they're coming to hang out for a while.
They're here for the long term, right? So, Andrea, and I know that you guys had discussed this earlier, for folks out there who might just be tuning in, remind folks what the next step is. He's been found guilty now of murder, and next is the deliberation to determine the sentence. Is that beginning immediately? Is that something, I know that the judge has just ordered a short break.
It's just happened.
Right. So is this, they're going to resume the deliberations now? Because ordinarily you would think at about 4 o'clock or so, if they had
I should have went ahead and bet. I'm gonna write on my post. What's his name? Said he bet me $50,000 it'll be a not guilty verdict, and clearly he don't want to bet nobody $50,000. And I wouldn't bet because I know that stuff can happen and things get weird. But why he haven't messaged me in the inbox or anything after this verdict is crazy to me. Let's make sure we put this on social media. I think we already have it, right? Defense team, witnesses, and man. We need to make sure we put this on Instagram that the verdict has been reached. Let's get that out as soon as possible because I wanna see if old boy gonna get on there and try to act like it's a not guilty.
Who is old boy?
I forget his name, man. What's his name, dude? He's a radical.
But 50 G's.
He said $50,000 is gonna be a not guilty. I didn't bet him because you never know what happened in these court hearings. But I was pretty confident that he was gonna get found guilty. But he said $50,000 that Karmelo Anthony would be not guilty.
Can I ask you a question, Brandon, about the manslaughter distinction?
Yeah.
So that yesterday was brought up by the judge that he could be found guilty of manslaughter. What would that have meant? Like, what option did that really give the jury I mean, in the deliberation phase.
I think it's clear that the jury saw that this was a murder.
Okay.
Right? The difference between murder, premeditated murder, and manslaughter are as follows. If you have a second of premeditation, which means that if I had this bottle in my hand or I had a knife right here,
Yeah.
and you were making me mad, and I began to be frustrated with you,
Okay.
and I looked over at this knife, and I thought, I'm going to grab this knife to kill you with it. That is premeditating
That's
a murder.
all you need for premeditation.
You need a moment of consideration of murder to be premeditated. It doesn't have to be a full planned out thing. It could be like, for instance, in Karmelo Anthony's situation, when you have a knife in your bag, you know you have a knife in your bag. You said, touch me and see what happens. So you know if they touch you, you know you're going to grab the knife and stab them in the chest. So you have made the argument for premeditation.
Okay.
When you say touch me. The way it wouldn't be premeditation is if the scuffle happened, Karmelo grabbed what he can and hit him with it.
I see.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're in a situation and me and you start fighting in here, and I just so happen to grab this bottle, hit you over the head with it in the heat of the battle, I didn't think it through, right? I didn't say, I'm going to use that to hit you with it. It just happened in the course of an altercation, and I killed you with it.
But if
Now I knowingly grabbed it and beat you till you died. That's murder.
Okay.
Now, what would be manslaughter is if I was swinging my hands and I knocked this over and it hit you in the head and killed you. That's unintentional murder.
Or if you push me and I hit my head and I die.
You hit your head and you die.
That's manslaughter.
Yeah. Or I hit you with this candle, but I didn't mean to kill you with it. I just wanted to hit you with it.
So what's the distinction?
And you end up dying. Like, so the distinction is very clear. First degree murder is premeditation.
Copy. Got it.
Right? Normally, first degree murder is premeditation. Second degree murder is that I intentionally killed you, but I didn't premeditate it. I could have just blew up in a heat of passion. I got very upset, but I did intend to kill you. So that is second degree murder. That's murder without premeditation.
Wow.
And manslaughter is that I didn't intend to kill you, but my negligent actions led to your death.
I see.
Right? Meaning that, just say that me and you were fighting in the hallway and I pushed you really hard. But then you went and you fell down the stairs and died. I did not intend to push you down the stairs.
Sure.
But my negligence of pushing you with the opportunity that you may actually fall down some stairs and die, that would be manslaughter. If you were standing at the steps and you said, you N-word, and I turned and pushed you, no, I intentionally pushed you down the stairs. Yeah. In the heat of passion, I didn't think the stairs, I'm going to push him when he walk over here, I'm going to push him down there. It was in the heat of passion, instantaneous action. I pushed you, and I intentionally pushed you down the stairs to kill you. That is second degree murder. Now, if I'm walking and you standing by the stairs and I'm like, that sorry sucker, what he did to me yesterday, he going to have to pay for.
That's...
As soon as he stepped in front of the staircase, I'm going to push him and I'm going to kill him. So I premeditated it.
I see.
I had a thought process behind what I was going to do to kill you. That is the difference between premeditation and murder. So with his situation, they got him for murder. That means that he intentionally tried to kill Austin Metcalf. That means that he knew when he grabbed that knife that he was going to drive it through the chest of Austin Metcalf, killing him.
So what do you think the repercussion, like, what's going to happen?
Like we don't know. We don't know because they have a wide range of sentencing from the jurors that just found him guilty very quickly.
But I mean,
let's play this guy real quick because he's his attorney. Roll it.
I salute you. I thank you.
All right, let's play the sound.
And we got work to do. Thank you and God bless.
I missed it.
Could you back it up a few, like a couple minutes?
Double click the screen and to bring it back 10 seconds.
They are currently sentencing Karmelo Anthony, but we know that the Next Generation Action Network put the first $10,000 towards an appellate attorney. And we will fight Collin County like hell. I respected this process. I allowed and called for peace in this process. But Black America should be very upset about what went on today. Now, before all of the internet lawyers and before all of the interpretation of the situation, I'm only an advocacy leader. I'm not an attorney. I can only help families be able to navigate these processes. when they find themselves in this type of situation. I can only allow lawyers to be what they are, lawyers. I can't instruct them. I can't stop them from doing anything. I have to respect the process just like anybody else. But what we saw today was flawed, unjust, and I ask that the community continue to pray for the Anthony family. I do not speak for them, but I know that the Next Generation Action Network will be here as support.
All right, enough hearing him. See,
My
y'all
heart
heard what he
hurts
said.
right
This is the problem with what this gentleman is saying. Is he not even an attorney? I forget he was just a liaison for the family. Really, he's a fundraiser for the family. Black America, why would Black America be upset about this when the witnesses were black?
Right. Yeah.
The witnesses that saw Karmelo Anthony do what he did, many of them were black. They just told the truth, man. The truth is the truth. That kid was wrong. It's okay to say when black people wrong. This kid was wrong. It's not a race thing. He's wrong. If you want to bring race into it, the black kid was wrong. But generally speaking, if you take race out of this, the kid was just flat out wrong. If this was two white kids, Karmelo Anthony was white. He's wrong. If Karmelo Anthony was black and Austin Metcalf was black, Karmelo is still wrong. And these people, they raise money on racism.
Yeah.
They raise money on racial tension. That grown man know that this didn't have nothing to do with race.
At the time of the murder, no race wasn't even thought
Even
about.
during the trial, he know it had nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
But that's the only way they can raise money. That's the only way they can push a GoFundMe. That's the only way he's going to raise money to get them in the appellate court or whatever to do an appeal. They're not going to win an appeal. This was unanimous, not even close.
Yeah.
They took no time to deliberate. Right after the closing statements, they deliberated in 30 minutes or something. I could have told you that this was going to happen. I wasn't even there.
Do you think riots are going to happen?
I don't know, man. It's unpredictable, man.
I mean, with all the teen takeover stuff, I mean, people are wanting to get out in the streets and wanting to be a part of something.
I can see it happening.
God.
I can see it happening, dude. I can see people rioting and getting crazy and everything like this, and it's not going to do anything for the black community. It's just going to make videos that I do go viral.
Right.
And everybody else on the news is going to go viral. And black people are going to just destroy their reputation and community by fighting for a kid that really, he was wrong.
So do you think, first-degree murder, are you able to be sentenced to death?
I'm not really sure. It depends on jurisdiction.
Okay.
It depends on jurisdiction. It depends on if they put a minor to death. In many cases, they wouldn't, because I think he was a minor when he committed the crime.
So, but that's probably a loophole there. They would just punish
some states will put a minor to death, depending on how heinous your crime was. I don't think this was a heinous crime, right? I mean, when I say heinous, I don't think this was like as heinous as a crime could be that would lead somebody to believe a minor should get the death penalty.
Like multiple murders.
Like multiple murders.
Yeah,
like
true.
you went there to shoot and kill people. Like this ended up turning into a nasty situation from a argument that ensued at the track meet. This wasn't a situation where the kid had premeditated a plot that he gonna go kill everybody at the school, and he carried out a massive murder situation and fled from the cops and lied about it and tried to hide it. And I think Karmelo should have took a plea deal. I said this if y'all go back and look at the very first thing I said, way back when this first happened, you can go and fact check me. I said that Karmelo Anthony should take a plea deal. I don't know why the family did not take a plea deal. I understand why, because they may have fallen for the lie that somehow their son they're in denial. If your son say, you got attorneys, right? And you go, son, tell us what happened. A lot of these kids lie, so now the parents are living with a lie. But if you say, tell me what happened, I did this and this and that, you guilty. You're gonna be found guilty in Plano.
For sure.
Or Frisco.
Yeah.
Because you ain't finna get a bunch of sympathy from people. Because you're in a situation where people are like middle class to upper class people living in that area.
Yeah.
And so you're not gonna get sympathy for low-minded people.
I see.
You're not finna get little Ray Ray and Pookie and them lying for you when they talk to attorneys. You got middle-class black and white people in this community, and your behavior is beneath what the community expectations are. So you are a detriment to the community. You're not an asset to the community. So many people in the community are not going for that. The kids at this school ain't gonna lie for you.
Right.
Because these black kids at this school live in the middle class. They're not finna lie for some kid trying to be a gangbanger, a thug, or whatever he doing, carrying a knife and being suspended and acting foolish, and then killing one of their teammates or killing another kid that was prominent in the football community. It's not gonna happen. If he was at Dunbar High School or somewhere else where the community is middle to lower class, not even middle, lower class, then maybe you'll get Ray and them out there saying, like the lady was saying, or like the guy that came out there and lied about the whole video.
Right. Or
Or the lady that came out there and they said, what if Karmelo Anthony is found to be guilty? And she go, I don't care, I'm gonna stand behind mine.
by right. Yeah,
if
yeah.
you in a community like that, you may get some people on the jury that like, I ain't never gonna convict the brother because that's a white guy and he a black guy. You live in a middle class community, you they ain't gonna be playing no games like that. And this is why he was found guilty that quick. Even though there was no black jurors, the witnesses were black. So
Yeah, so here's the question. I mean, I feel like this might be pretty low hanging fruit obvious here, but is there any possibility that jury selection will affect, like they might go back and say this is a mistrial? There was some funny business with jury selection. Do you foresee that being?
I foresee a person trying to make the argument, but at the end of the day, the argument won't hold up. The argument won't hold up simply because the prosecution and the defense had a chance to strike certain witnesses.
And they both have to agree on the jury.
I'm
right?
not, and to be honest, I'm not really sure how they come to that consensus. I don't know if they have to agree, or you get your strikes, they get your strikes, and you land where you land.
Oh, I see.
Right? You have to be strategic. Like some prosecuting officers aren't very good and strategic. So the defense team may have the upper hand. And the defense team may strike witnesses that are good for the prosecution because they were strategic.
Sure.
Sometimes you don't know how these jurors are going to act. You're kind of listening to their statements and evaluating them to see if they're going to be impartial or not. Or if you're a defense team, you don't want to be impartial. You want them to create a hung jury, or you want them to agree with your side.
Yeah.
So you may actually pick a juror that's going to be in favor of what you want the outcome to be.
Makes sense.
Especially if you know you're wrong. You really want that juror that's or you get a juror that's like just strong-nosed. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm not budging. And you know that juror is kind of leaning a little more towards Karmelo Anthony.
Sure.
And you know they're not going to budge. So that person is going to create a hung jury situation, right?
Because all it takes is one.
All it takes is one to hold out. Oof. And you could have a hung jury. And then you have to do another trial. But in this situation, as you can see, it was unanimous, very quick. And that's because there's sufficient evidence that's beyond a reasonable doubt from the witness statements, from the prosecution statement, opening statement and closing arguments to cross-examination. It is very clear, unequivocal, that it was a murder according to the law, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Probably a silly question, but should Karmelo Anthony have testified on his own behalf?
I think he should have.
You think that would have been?
I think he should have took a plea deal.
Right.
But I think he should have testified because he may have been able to conjure up some sympathy in at least one juror where they did feel like he didn't mean to do this. What happens is you have his statements, his spontaneous utterance, and a video against him. So if he get on the stand, he's going to have to lie because you have witnesses saying that he started it.
He provoked.
He provoked.
Yeah.
And when the prosecution say, why did you bring a knife? What is he going to say? He already told the prosecution the reason he brought a knife, so he's going to lie on the stand?
What did he say for bringing the knife?
I'm not really sure.
Because, I mean, I could see.
I'm pretty sure you're going to lie and say it was for my safety or something crazy, but it still doesn't. You can't argue why do you need to be safe at a track meet, you just shouldn't go.
Yeah, and you can't. It's hard to justify just having a knife in your backpack because you needed it somewhere else.
So he would have got killed on the stand.
Oof.
But his only chance was to try to gain some sympathy for his sentencing. Because maybe if he was on the stand and they felt bad for him, at least they'll be like, he's guilty, but man, he was a nice kid. He wasn't a thug and crazy like it's looking like he is. He was a really nice kid that was genuine, and he genuinely made a mistake. He cries on the stand. He shows sympathy and all that. That may look good, even though he would have to admit to his crimes.
So what would the difference between like a plea deal sentencing and a first-degree murder sentencing? It would be like plea deal would be like 10, 15 years?
I'm not sure what the plea agreement would be. They may say if you plead guilty, you'll get 10 years in prison,
Okay.
15 years in prison, and whatever else goes with it, with the possibility
Yeah.
of paroling out
Sure.
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
They may give you a sweetheart deal like that. Now, if you don't, you may get life in prison.
Whew.
So you take a plea of 15, 20 years, or you can get life. Which one is better?
Well, I mean,
You
especially
do 15, 20 years, probably with the possibility of parole. You out in 13 years.
and if you're Carmelo and the family, you would say take the plea
Take
deal
the plea
because
deal.
obviously,
Or if you're arrogant and your son has been lying to you this whole time and he's telling you something that's not true and he's claiming that they jumped him and they called him the N-word and things like that because the parents haven't talked to the witnesses. So they believe in their son and they're going to fight for their son. And come to find out he's a complete liar and he lied this whole time and all the witnesses debunked everything he told his family, and now he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. This happened to my cousin. My cousin shot a few people, and I see Nick talking over there. I can. What time? All right, we can switch over. I think we said enough. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to get on. I'm supposed to be on Stephen A. Smith's show. So I'm going to leave here and go to Stephen A. Smith's show. God bless you. If you just joined, he got found guilty. They're going to be sentencing him soon. Follow us on social media to figure out what the sentencing number is. All right, we're out of here.